February 13th, 2018 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for the individuals serving our nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mayor Winterfield?
Here. There are no presentations, so we'll move to reports from volunteers. At this time, are there reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community? Rocco?
Yeah, just one.
Rocco, you need help there?
Wait until you get to be my age. Hey, take that off there. Rocco Salucci, 153 Jacksonville Road. I think I'm still chairman of Fair Housing anyhow. I have a pretty good report. We had a nice little meeting the last time with the people I guess you're going to sign a contract with tonight. Greener, I think it's Greener Energy or something like that.
Greener by design.
Greener by design, okay. I believe that we got basically all the situation under control with them. I think they know exactly what they expect and everything else. However, as I mentioned to a couple of people, without mentioning any name, the manager or whatnot, that I heard rumors that they wanted to take over and do away with the committee, and I was reassured that that's not the case. I have not been able to read whatever agreement they share with them, but I hope that's still in place.
You can't get rid of a committee, Rocco.
Can't get rid of Rocco.
You can't get rid of Rocco, but you can't get rid of a committee.
Listen, I also belong to one of the committee that we hadn't had a meeting, I think, in 2 years, so.
Which one is that?
That's for another day. That's for the, where was it, something about, talking about the future, stuff like that?
Oh.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we had a couple meetings on those, anyhow. So we had a nice discussion. I think we got everything updated as far as the Fair Housing Committee is concerned. At the same time, we also mentioned to the newly appointed person that it's that time of the year that we send out the questionnaire so that we stay on top of people that are violating the rules and regulations. We always have the same people that they find a way not to abide by the rules and regulations, so we're constantly going after them. So that's just what I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rocco.
Thank you, Rocco.
Anyone else? No? Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comments. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period of public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record. Go ahead. Thank God you showed up, Rocco.
Would have been right through. Still Rocco Salucci, 153 Jacksonville Road.
Still?
Still at 153 Jacksonville.
Still Rocco.
I didn't sell the house yet.
Okay.
The question basically that I have is, are we going to put the, whatever that we record over here on 77?
It's there now.
It's there, okay.
there.
It started when?
I was at a meeting last Monday, and Pete Coriel said it was up then.
Okay. But the meetings that they have from Board of Education, we're also responsible to put that on the air?
I have talked to them, asked them if they wanted to, and they said no.
Oh, so I have to go to another meeting, thank you.
But their videos are up.
You do realize, and this has got nothing to do with you guys, I know, I would just,
And just so you, I don't want to, make that sound like they're non-responsive. They believe that, having their videos available online on the website is sufficient for people to access them. And they do not see a need to put on Channel 30.
I'll go on
And there was
record right
also-
now that before that happened, they used to play games with whatever recorder that they had. They just put in whichever recorder favored them, and the rest of it, they never got air. I have some proofs on those over there, before they decided to go to, I guess, the computerized thing. I will try to address that.
And
They're gonna-
Rocco,
Yes.
I was at that same meeting, and Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but since Chris left, who was trying to do those videos, it's like a process, and it takes a long time.
It is very long.
To get them up.
Chris was doing it. Peter's also capable of doing it. I know there were some reports that we have no one who knows how to do it, and that's not correct. We do know how to do it. It's actually a 28-step process. Take that video, convert it to the right format,
Same for
and then
board
upload it to
Same for board
the
ed.
machine that allows it to be fed to 77. And it has to run overnight because it takes several hours to do for each one. It's a time-consuming process.
Yeah, it ties up a computer.
Could I ask, I'm sorry to be so rude to interrupt you. I believe I have a program that I could do any changeover from any recording that you have to a CD. Would the CD be satisfied for them to play on it?
No.
No.
Okay.
The equipment that Cablevision has provided us to, put a signal out to their
Right.
system, it's antiquated, it's old, and it doesn't take CDs. You have to run it through a computer program to convert it to whatever the format is, and it has to be done, with this computer program that they have provided us, but that's the only way to do it.
So you're saying that they're not using a CD player
They're not.
to inject inside there?
No.
Okay. I would have to look into it, because I may have some programs that might be able to help. But if you do have the programs and the machines and everything like that, maybe somebody should think down the line over there, because it's a waste of money for everybody just to be able to have it recorded. If you see the Board of Education, they got about 3 or 4 kids, which I'm glad they're doing, because it teaches them a different process and also teaches them the responsibility. But the intention today was to be able to air them on television, because a lot of the people, they do not know about computers. As somebody stated, that I don't know anything about computers. What I forgot, I think they have a lifetime to learn yet. But that's for another day to discuss, and if those people want to know anything about computers, they're welcome to give me a call. I'd be more than happy to teach them something.
Rocco, why don't you look into what we convert this to?
Okay.
With cable.
Like I said, I do conversions at home from regular tape like that to CDs. I don't know whether they deal in a different process or whatnot.
Okay, because I remember when we were taping it, and I would burn it to a CD or something. I don't remember what I was
Right.
doing, but it was, I thought it was uploaded at that point, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'll take a look.
You then had to-
I'll take a look, because I do have a program. All I do is play it on the player inside there, hook up to a computer, and the computer automatically puts it on the
You
CD.
just have to know what format that,
It's actually,
The only format they use in the United States.
it's 3
you
steps.
have to do 3 different formats, all of which are, have many steps. You take what's on the chip, you convert it to Adobe, using Adobe Editor,
Right.
to a media file. And then you have to load it
I'll-
to YouTube for the
I'll stop in and take a look what the process is. If
And you have
somebody,
to load it on the other one,
There's
right.
2 different ones.
That was gonna be my question. So we are putting every one of our meetings on YouTube as well?
Yeah, we always
That
do.
always happened, yes.
Okay, so you can see them on YouTube as well as channel.
But there is a community, what Rocco's saying is very valid, that don't do that. You have senior citizens, you have,
I know quite a few,
We're catching both of them.
yes.
I know quite a few elderly folks, just like me.
You're not elderly.
that- When you get to be my age, you
He
know.
was elderly.
By the way, I'm going to be 74 in a month and a half, so...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we-
There's a lot of people, they don't know the first thing about a computer, but they do know how to turn the channels. And they are looking forward to, can't afford to buy a newspaper, Lord knows for the different reasons. Would be kind of nice to make a gesture, but if you already started on it, to be able to put on it, I thank you.
You're
I'm very, very happy. It would be kind of nice if we talked to other people that they're wasting our money to do the same to help out the people. Thank you very much. I'm referring, by the way, not to you, but the Board of Education.
As long as we got that straight.
Thank you, Rocco.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rocco. We're just finishing up public comment. Do you have anyone? Come on up.
Hello, Kyle Russell, 6 Walnut Ave. Do we have any more information on the skate park that we never got yet? A month, 2 months later?
I have received some. Honestly, I've been so busy with budget the last 2 weeks that I have not had a chance to contact Pillar Design. We've kind of played telephone tag a couple times, but I still have 2 outstanding issues before I finalize that.
So let me ask a question, Dave. When are we going to have the presentation here?
The presentation will be in 2 weeks.
Okay, so,
We need the information before that
right,
presentation.
I think it's only fair that we get that information out prior to that meeting, because I don't think it's fair to you
Yeah, we've
and
been
other
asking, I
people.
mean,
Yeah.
Well, we should have
they
it,
sent
too.
it on like December 20th or something, so there's been a long time, right?
Is there a
I
reason
think
that we,
it's not right, but
Dave, is there a reason why we couldn't have what came in so far just to get up to speed, or?
Might not be
Well,
accurate.
I mean, the normal process for any project is that, staff would vet, all the things that are associated with it before we present it to you. And there's still a couple
right.
questions that we have that I'd like to get answered before.
All right, so the committee doesn't even really have it, or maybe the
there is no
does.
committee.
No,
Whatever,
because,
right. Okay.
They did their piece already.
They did their piece, and now it's just internal.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think there's a chance that we'll have it by the end of the week, or?
yes.
Definitely before the
I'm hoping for
presentation.
tomorrow, but Thursday latest,
So we said that presentation is already scheduled for when?
The 27th.
27th.
To next meeting, so it'll be before then.
Mark
Okay.
your calendar, the 27th.
We'll be here regardless.
Yep.
So,
Kyle, right? That's your-
yes,
Okay. Anybody in your family go to DePaul?
my son,
What grade is he?
Junior.
Oh, I have a host student in our house, Chinese
Yeah, I
student.
think we saw her at the teacher panel.
Yes, I was there. Okay, enough with that. If we could please get her,
Well, all of them.
the people, everybody, some information, everybody, information at least a week in advance, because if they want to try to research something, I think it's only fair that they are not walking in here cold.
So the stuff you give us, you'll have every line item, you'll have it already vetted?
That's my hope,
Plan.
yes. To vet it before I provide it to council.
And I can expect to receive it when, maybe?
Same time we do.
And
we
that
get it.
is when,
I
maybe?
don't know.
Hopefully a week before the
We
meeting.
hope the end of the week is what Dave just asked.
I will guarantee it before the end of the week.
Okay, good enough, thank you.
How would people be able to get their hands on it?
Are we allowed to forward it to the
Well,
residents? I guess that's the
again, my normal,
process.
for any project we do, is I'm going to provide it to you. I would never provide something to the public before providing it to the governing body.
Of course.
What you do with it after that is up to you.
Right, okay.
Email me.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Laura Levine, 364 North Compton Turnpike. He's standing up here. Okay. I put something together to say today. It's been 8.5 months since my husband, Matt, a Pequannock Township police officer, has been on suspension. 7.5 of those months have been unpaid. My daughter's going to be 1 next month in March. The third hearing will be next Tuesday, February 20th, and we've been waiting very long for this day. This entire ridiculous suspension has wasted so many man-hours and so much taxpayer money and has kept one of the best officers from his job. He lives and breathes his career that he chose for himself, and there's really no reason why this has gone so far. I don't know if any of you are aware of the actual facts, but I assure you that when you do, you will wonder the same and how this has been allowed to go so far. My husband's name and his reputation have been dragged through the mud. The rumors that we have heard about my husband and his case are so disgusting they make me sick. They make me sick to my stomach and they make me want to cry. My husband is one of the most active officers on the department. He has had the Mad Mothers Against Drunk Drivers Award for 7 years in a row, 5 of which are from Pequannock, and which, by the way, he has never been recognized for. He has taken hundreds of drunk drivers and countless amounts of drugs off of our streets. The thanks he gets is to be suspended and made a mockery of when he hasn't even done anything wrong. We're looking forward to next Tuesday for the decision to be made so we can continue on with our lives. I cannot wait for the community to finally understand my husband hasn't done anything wrong and he is the good guy everyone knows him to be. The dozens of letters I handed you can attest to that. Thank you for allowing me to come up during council meetings and give you all updates, show our faces, and show that we are stronger than this. I hope to have a good update for you guys next time, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're done before 30 minutes, but we're finished. As previously noted, there'll be an additional period of public comment later on in the meeting. There's no public hearings this evening. Next on the agenda, no ordinances. This was good. Next on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Consideration tonight beginning with Resolution R 2018-52, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. 2018-53, authorizing a fee of $25 for each notice of sale pursuant to NJSA 54-526. R 2018-54, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. 2018-55, approving the designated special event permit for PBA Local 172 car show. 2018-56, confirming the designated memberships in the Pequannock Township Fire Department. That's for Zachary Tanis. 2018-57, appointing Polaris Galaxy as the township's risk management consultant. 2018-58, authorizing a professional service agreement between the Township of Pequannock and Greener by Design for housing liaison services for the Pequannock Township Fair Housing Committee. 2018-59, authorizing a professional services agreement between the Township of Pequannock and Greener by Design for administrative agent services for the Pequannock Township Fair Housing Committee. 2018-60, authorizing the transfer of 2017 municipal budget appropriation reserves. And 2018-61, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the February 9th, 2018 bill list.
Are there any comments from council on these resolutions?
Yeah, I have actually 4 that I want to touch on.
Go ahead.
The first one's simple, just for clarification. On the first resolution, 2018-52, I just want to make sure that those are 2 separate liens on the same property. Is that correct? Because they were the same block and lot, so it was just a clarification that it wasn't, I wasn't sure if it was 2 separate block and lots or 2 liens on one. Or is that a typo? Do we know?
Yeah, it's not going to be 2 liens on the same one.
All right, so something's a typo is probably just there.
Yeah, one of the block and lots.
Okay, and that was it.
We can clarify that for you.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. Should I wait for her? Keep
Yeah,
going?
ask your questions. Yeah.
And then the next one was 2018-57. I wondered if, Dave, you could just clarify a little bit about the joint insurance fund and the 6%. And I was trying to figure it, I guess the 6% would be of the...
This is really appointing our risk manager and the compensation they get for being our risk manager.
Right.
Actually, even though they've gone through multiple name changes in terms of the agency, we've been using the same risk manager since before I was employed at Pequannock. We've changed insurance funds 3 times in the last 12 years, saving money each time we did, as a result of, their work for, what they do to apply for insurance and, get us the right coverage for, our needs. So this is an annual thing. This particular insurance fund requires that we do a separate resolution. In previous funds that we belong to, it's part of kind of an overall, a selection of the insurance fund. When we were with the NGIF and the Middlesex Insurance Fund, they just included that as part of your assessment. But the Morris Fund wants us to identify this amount separately, so we do a separate resolution for it.
And this is something that we do every year?
Every year.
Okay. Is that clarified? All right, and then the other one was, I just, looking at the two resolutions, for the one for the housing liaison for the Fair Housing Committee and the other one for the administrative agent services, I do understand, I guess that had to be pulled out because of the services that they would be providing. I guess when we first hired them, the services weren't at that full scope, so now...
Right, we had really only envisioned them doing the one part of it. And that was, when we first kind of brought this up and interviewed them, it was back last fall, and we had brought them on November 1st. Even though we'd been through a couple different personnel, Chris at the time was doing kind of the administrative stuff on our behalf. And before that, we had someone in place who was kind of doing all the administrative stuff. And for a while there, Diane from my office was doing phone calls. And, since the transition, I think it's actually running a lot smoother with phone calls just going directly there. So, as I had recommended in my email to you guys a week or so ago, I think we should try this scenario for a year and see how it goes.
So before Chris, it was Gail?
Well,
was it Jill?
Well, there was Evelyn.
Yeah, well, she was just a
between.
brief area. Yeah, that was very brief. That was very brief.
That's what I was trying
Gail,
to figure
Evelyn,
out.
and Chris, and we had a gap in there when Diane was trying to...
But before that, it was Gail, or was it part of Jill?
No, it was Gail.
It was primarily Gail.
Yeah.
However, there's also parts of that planning had done.
Okay.
It just seems like it's now a lot of money that we have to pay to
Oh, we
make
paid
that
Gail a
work.
lot of money.
And I wasn't sure if there was, on the administrative part, if there was, something we can do or
We're
whether...
paying, yes. I mean, it's not a dollar for dollar switch from, if you go back 2 years to when Gail was, doing the vast majority of it, but there were other things that we were doing in-house, that had time associated with them. And now we've lost some of the people who were doing some of those things.
We've lost the expertise.
So, it's not like we're paying a lot more money than what we were paying in total when you look at all the different pieces of it. It's all shown in one spot now.
And you couldn't separate those two out? In other words, it's an all or nothing thing?
They're different tasks.
I think you absolutely could.
All right.
But there needs to be, someone trained to do that. The one
So we
component
can't do it now.
requires, some state classes be taken.
Okay.
There's the liaison, municipal
Right.
housing liaison is an actual title position under the state, and there's 3 or 4 courses that you have to go through and pass to have that title, which we don't currently have anyone.
So there's no one that
qualified to
would
do.
qualify for that, and you can't do it under the Fair Housing Committee with any of those people because they're not trained?
But there's either the administrative part of it is so much phone call and, time on task that...
Well, this is
it really
better
can't
because-
Beyond the volunteer.
Yeah, this is better because the office is, open all the time and they can get questions. My question is though about the billable hours. Who's going to keep track of this? Because if you exceed these hours, it's going to cost more money.
I mean, they have to report to us. I think based on volume, we'll be able to tell if they're really spending more time on that or not.
I would just hope someone watches that.
There has been a fair amount of volume. Some of it's been catch-up kind of stuff over the last 2 months. But,
Right.
and that's why I think if you give it a whole year, I think things will kind of
You'll be able to assess.
calm down, and you'll have a better picture at the end of a year of what the tasks actually involve, how much time they involve, and I think they'll be able to give us better feedback.
Rocco, are you good with that?
Can I make a comment?
Well, everybody, let's get council through.
Okay.
Let's everybody ask all their questions, and we'll get.
Yeah, I think I'm done.
You have any other?
I had the same questions, some of the same questions Melissa had, so.
Any other resolutions? You're good with the others?
I'm good.
Right, I have a question on 53. How many tax sales are we doing this year? Do you know that
Well,
number?
we only do one tax sale a year.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many properties are up for?
I don't know.
Was it a high percentage, low percentage?
Last year was very low.
Okay.
We normally do it in September. And by then, you kind of whittle the list down. So it's usually less than 100, and last year was maybe 40 or 50.
That's still a large amount in my book.
No.
No, we have well over 4,500 line items, and it's less than 1%.
Interesting. Okay.
Anything else? Councilman Hurd?
I had the same questions on 58 and 59, and they were answered.
Hot topic.
Okay. Carol, you want to make a correction?
No, I checked with the tax collector, and this is correct. There are 2 liens on the same lot.
Okay.
All right.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Rocco, you want to say something about greener by design?
Yes.
Rocco Saluja. When we had the meeting, including that you brought these people in inside here, it was my understanding that I kept asking that if you do a changeover between what we had and what you're going through, it would be almost at par. And I stopped by to talk to you, I believe this past week or last week, I can't keep track anymore. And my concern was that if we were paying $1,000 a month, I'm using fictitious numbers, but I think I'm pretty close to it. And now, I just noticed that you have 2 you're authorizing for the professional things. One is supposedly the guy to answer the questions over there and get back to the people. And the other one, I guess, is to be able to run the meeting, 1 meeting a month and everything like that. A lot of times, we do not have 12 meetings in the month. By design, we have a maximum 11 meetings, because one in the summer, we automatically close down. And sometimes, if we don't have too many things on the agenda, we usually do a phone call, as Mr. Cole would know about it, that sometimes we end up maybe about 6, 7 meetings in a month. So my concern is this year, how much is for the, I think 2018-59, how much is more that I haven't looked inside there to see. I know the other part, the 58, is probably about 1,000 a month. Could somebody elaborate a little bit like that?
You're saying that the fact that the one is 12 and the one is 17? I don't understand.
No, what I'm saying right now is that...
Well, that doesn't mean that's what it is. That's not what, that's what we're, in case they go over, because if you read the details of it, it's $850 per month. And then if they go over the 8 hours, then it's $100 per hour. We're just authorizing a little bit more money in case there's some overruns.
I understand that, but I tried to read before 58 that you have inside there, and it basically states over there that you have 11 meetings left this year at a total of $12,000.
Right.
Am I correct so far? No. The 2018-59, I did not see whether you're charging by the hours or they charge by the hours or one now.
That one
No,
was
it's $12.50
17.
per month.
Yeah.
It's by what?
By month.
It's per month.
Also by month? And how much is that?
We authorized up to 17.
Yeah, but it's only $12.50 per month unless there's an overage.
How much?
And one's $850.
17,000 is what is being authorized.
17,000 for R59?
That's the not to exceed. It's $12.50 per month,
$12.50 per month.
but it's only for, Is it
They're-
11 months, is it?
They're two different contracts.
I understand, that's why I'm trying to get
Administrative,
straight.
one for the housing liaison. One is for, per month, $1,250. The other is $850 per month.
Right.
So it usually becomes about $2,000 a month, double what we were paying before. That's what it amounts to.
Not quite double. And if you start looking at the time commitments of staff people here at Town Hall, you get pretty close to that same amount.
Okay.
And if you look at some of the things that they've identified in the housing liaison list of things, I mean, there's a lot more strategic, planning, and some of the things that you've been talking about for years is how are we going to maintain our current housing stock when certain events happen, like foreclosures, things like that. They've addressed that specifically.
You are aware that we've been dealing with that? We had, I think, one or two that they went into foreclosure. I believe our attorney probably could elaborate on that. We had two. Am I right?
You're right.
So it's not
a Bob's time.
This needs to be managed, Rocco, and it's only for 1 year, and we're going to take a look at it after the year. Probably look at it maybe halfway through the year.
May I be so kind to say, can you table this here until
No.
next meeting?
No. This
And
needs
the
to be
reason
done.
for that is I like to talk to you guys in private, what was said, a different situation.
This needs oversight. We cannot leave these units out there with oversight.
So you would rather that I say right now what I wanted to say in the closed door meeting?
Say what you got to
It's up
say,
to you.
Rocco. Say what
It's
you
up
got
to
to
you.
say.
Dave, you know where I'm going to go with this here, so.
Go ahead.
These are two different contracts.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rocco.
All right, that's fine, okay. What I was saying is this year, we have potentially had the secretary that took care of the committee for the last 20-some-odd years, that she was willing to see whether there was a possibility to come back, basically at the same pay and the same responsibility that she had, okay? And I brought that to the attention, and I'm not going to mention any name, the manager. So at this point in time,
Manager's name?
no, I didn't say that. I don't want to say any names. I don't want to bring anything up. But the situation is this year that if we have a cheaper way to go,
Rocco, sometimes cheaper isn't better. There have been things,
but we did this here
need
for
to be
20 years. It's not a question we did it for 20 days. You follow me what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
I think we already vetted that, though, right? Why we...
This is only for a year. There's things that need to be done. There's things that haven't been done.
Okay.
These units and these communities are
You want
aging.
to know something? When push comes to shove, and the gentleman, and I believe that Mr. Cole could attest to this here. When he came in over here, we had a closed door kind of a situation. He said, well, you guys got to follow this, you got to follow this, and got to follow that. And the last meeting that we had says, well, we're doing okay what we're doing. Am I correct, Mr. Cole? Okay, so we can stand over here and talk about all the professionalism and all the things that need to be done and all the elaborate thing. Hey, I can make his job over there like a guy spending 6 years to do the job. Okay, fine.
By outsourcing this, rather than, by outsourcing it with Greener by Design, rather than going with an employee, what this does is it gives us better coverage for people when they have questions. It's not somebody who's going to have to leave a message and get back to somebody. There's going to be there's an upgrade of the service.
Let me say something else, okay? When they first were building those units over there, I don't know if you guys, any of you know, they used to have certification, everything else done by the same people that were building the unit. Now, Mr. Ustak probably is aware of this here. And what we were doing is just, acknowledge whether they were doing right or wrong, and we took their word for it. You know where we end up? By having professional people doing all the certification, all this stuff. We had people with Lincoln Continental, Mercedes, and everything like that coming to the unit. We had to weed all those out.
Well, you're
And
talking
Kathy,
about-
you probably heard about
You're
those.
talking about a builder versus somebody who's contracted for
But
oversight.
it
Those are
was
different
somebody
animals,
else
Rocco.
instead of people that work in town that it was done. That's the point I'm trying to say.
Well, just
And-
my one little opinion here is that I think it'll be a better service. I think it's worth a try. I think the council is really going to be on top of this. Dave is the liaison. I think he'll do a wonderful job overseeing, and if he sees something going off the rails, I'm sure he will bring it to our attention.
The only remark I'm going to make is this year, that the first concern that I issued when we had the meeting where we had 5 or 6 people concerned, I said, as long as we come up with the same, basically, amount, thereabout, not double and whatnot, because the first year they come in double, the third year will be triple, and then so forth and so on. I'm trying to see if we can save some money, period. And the fact that the gentleman keeps saying we don't really need a committee too, if that's the case, that you guys decide that.
There's an ordinance, there's a committee, there'll always be a committee. You can't, you're not
I
gonna...
don't think Nicholas has ever said we don't need a...
Yes, he did.
I think he said that we could probably upgrade some of the things that we do, because we've never had a licensed, what license does he carry, Dave?
Municipal housing liaison.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, that's filling up a paper over there and go take a swear in there.
Dave, I have a
Just
question.
give some consideration, okay? That's the only thing I'm saying. The biggest concern that I had when we interviewed these people was just exactly what's happened. So please give some thought.
Dave, just a quick question. The training that you were talking about that needs to be done, does that need to be done for both positions?
No.
Okay.
No, only the municipal housing liaison needs to have, that training.
So I should have a license by doing this here. We've been doing all along.
And that was my only concern, was that one piece, whether that administrative agent, whether there was somebody that could do that. But it seems like we don't have anybody, so we have to try it for you.
Yeah,
Unless there's somebody...
we don't currently have anyone that is going to work well in that position.
And Dave is leaving.
Right, no, I understand that, and, that's my only concern. I mean, in the past, you had, somebody run, that was stepping up to the plate, but I guess we don't have anybody to do that, so.
I realize that it's more, but I think it's worth,
Trying?
for 1 year, trying it.
I mean, I would think that we would evaluate this come August or, September. I don't think we'd wait till the end of the year to see how it's going.
Right.
See how things, see what they bring forth to make things better.
When we had the original conversation that Rocco was in, when we met with that group, they had some great ideas, so tell Nicholas to get the ball rolling on some of those things, and let's see what happens.
Well, that's kind of the way I look at it. It's kind of like what you don't know that you don't know, how you can make this program better.
And you want to make your committee run more efficiently, too, by doing that.
And I'll tell you, by living amongst those units, there's some upgrades that need to happen. I mean, there's units where people abandon them, they're renting them where they shouldn't be renting them. There's a lot of things not going on. Go ahead, Frank.
Frank Spazeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. Are these people going to give us a monthly report of any type, so that you guys can keep track of?
It says prepare monthly
What's going on?
reports of activity.
Yeah,
Right.
I've gotten a couple of them. Do they give you, Dave, the committee, a...
Or they should.
No, I haven't seen any.
All right.
Everybody should get the report. At least the committee, I mean.
They are?
At least Rocco, Tom, and myself.
Right.
And then Rocco.
And council.
May I be recognized again?
Sure.
I'm sorry to be such a rude person.
No, you're not rude.
The only thing that I'm trying to say is this here, okay? So far, we had a couple meetings, and the committee directed this representative over here, first of all, to supply the latest list, to be able to do something, to refer to the town and be able to have some of the units that are available on 77, and a couple other things. And to date, none of that has happened. Am I correct, Mr. Cole?
We did mention that at the last meeting.
I mentioned again the last meeting inside here. So it's okay to do this and this and this and that, but I'm going to be very frank with you. I'm not going to miss too many committees. I mean, meetings, neither. I'll be here and itemize it and everything. If the person is not doing this kind of thing over here, you're going to be able to have reports from the committee. So, it's nice that somebody sells himself by a professional. I have a this and this and this and that. You guys are doing wrong. The ultimate thing is, we've been doing this here since 1992. okay? And we had about 7 or 8 people that I know of that it changed over. And we had one person almost 20 years on it. I don't remember anybody. I mean, we used to have people from the state and from the county come here, come over and copy the rules and regulations and what we were doing. Right, Mr. Steik?
Yes.
So now all of a sudden, we got a professional with the license and everything like that. They're telling us we don't know what we're doing? I am sorry. I could go and get a license tomorrow if I wanted to about this here. Am I right, Mr. Steik? I'm not talking out of context. Correct?
I think the committee's done it. I don't think anybody's questioned that the committee's done a fine job.
All right, but the point I'm making over there that we haven't been doing that, we're illegally this and this and that, that's not
I
the
don't think
case.
anybody is, I haven't heard anybody say that.
He said that in the committee, that you guys aren't doing things by the law. Am I right, Mr. Cole?
I didn't
And I
hear-
questioned him, I said, how is it that we're able to get away with this here? Well, you have to have a certified this and this and that, so show me.
I
And I'm
didn't hear
gonna
him
tell
say
you.
that we were doing anything illegal.
No, it said that you're now going by the book.
He was probably talking about the one
We had foreclosure, we had all kind of situation, we had people that rented into the unit, we went after this year, and we have presently 2 people, one is selling drug, another one is renting the unit, they were constantly going on. I bet you he didn't even tell the so-called enforcer to go over there and take action. You want to bet if I look into that? We already addressed him twice to go and do this here, correct, Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Now, it's okay to do a nice report and everything like that, but if you're not gonna follow what you're supposed to,
And I believe
we never had any
the
problem.
manager gave him the phone number and the name of the person and gave them the phone number and name
I
of...
bet you if you look into it, that's not even done. So I'm just saying, proceed with cautions,
We will.
okay?
I promise
That's the
that,
only thing I'm
Rocco.
saying.
Okay.
And I'm only doing this here for the betterment of the town. I don't...
No, you're a volunteer, and we appreciate it, Rocco. Anybody else, any other comments on any of the other resolutions?
Could we pull those 2 out and vote separately on them, please?
Okay, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
Wait, we're pulling
Which one did you pull now? 50?
58 and 59.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions R 2018-52 through 57, and then R 2018-60 through 61.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. So is there a motion for 2018, 58, and 59?
I'll make that motion for adopting R 2018-58 and R 2018-59.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
No.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. Okay. There are no items for discussion. Next on the agenda, reports and notices. Are there any comments or questions on council about any of the notices? One was on the bees.
No, but Jacksonville, Dave, is in desperate need of...
Yeah, could you talk about, a little bit about the county project? Because it says that if there's any sidewalks or anything to be involved too, that they need to coordinate that with us. Is that Joe Golden?
Yes, and I've already talked to Joe about it, working on a sidewalk project.
Okay.
Just need to know when they're planning on doing their project by, so we can get that going and, coordinate time-wise. I know the county, that section of Jacksonville Road from, essentially the
West
section that wasn't paved, right, West Parkway all the way up to Turnpike, was on their schedule for 2019. They recognize that it's in deplorable condition. They moved it up to this year. What they did say is that, during the course of the winter, they're still going to have to, do the pothole maintenance. They can't let the potholes get so big that they become, safety issues, and you can't actually do, the correct paving until it gets warmer. So I will try and find out what their timetable is. I don't think they're going to do it as a separate project. It'll be part of their annual, county road project. So it's probably not going to be until after they adopt their capital budget. It'll be later in the year. I'm speculating on that, but I will try and confirm that.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that it's coordinated.
Well, from West Parkway to the Boulevard, there's some bad spots that really need some attention now. So if you can reach out to the county and see if they can, I know it's putting a Band-Aid.
Our guys in the county are aware.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Holbert?
Okay, a couple things. Your budget books are in your mailboxes. There are a couple sections that are not complete yet. I will distribute them next Tuesday, our first work session. The township received formal notification of the appeal period for the flood maps. That appeal period will begin after the second publication of FEMA's notice, which is scheduled for tomorrow.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. So the appeal period officially starts Thursday, the 15th. That's our 90-day appeal period. Now, there has been contact, between our Joe Golden, Joe Scupian, who we have hired to be our professional on this, and both DEP and FEMA. So FEMA is well aware that we are going to file a formal appeal, and they've already started discussing some of those. Just to give you a flavor, I will forward an email that I received from Joe Scupian, kind of discussing some of the issues. Some of the technical stuff is so far over my head that I would not even attempt to explain it. But you can kind of see the items and the level of information that's kind of going back and forth. So I'll do that tomorrow. And just a number of things coming up for spring. April is a busy month. That's all I've got.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Lauren Flynn.
Okay, and just to go back to the county road, I know we were talking about the potholes and stuff before. Dave, I was talking with the mayor. We were trying to give an update to some of the residents that asked about some of the other things we were talking about on the county road, and I know we had that meeting last year, and I just want to make sure I have it right. I believe the county said that they would look at some signage opportunities, as well as was there something with a light as well, or no, not a light?
Pedestrian button.
Pedestrian crosswalk. That's going to be more on us than them.
Okay.
They said they would work with us, which means they'll give us permission to do it.
Right.
I think that's as much as we're going to get out of them to do that.
And that's something we were looking at for the Hopper Ave intersection.
Correct. A brighter crosswalk and the push button activated cross
signals. Sounds like a good idea.
Right.
Kind of replace the flasher that was there.
Whose bucket list is that in?
And
yours? Okay. All right.
And then I guess, we hope to have a little bit more of an increase in patrolling, I believe. I know they try to patrol.
They have, and as the county indicated to us, the amount of traffic on the boulevard is not very high considering it's county road.
And that was my last question too. I didn't know whether we were looking back at having an updated study done or whether they felt there was no need. I do remember the county saying if that is a direction we want to take, they would relook at it. So is it hard to update that?
We'll ask them. The data they provided is not that old. I mean, it's recent within the last several years.
Can we ask them for an updated study though? They seem to be open to it.
We can. They have to schedule it because they do their roads all over, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, if we could do that. The other things, all right, let me see what else. I just wanted to mention that actually Ryan and I were at a chamber meeting, a week or so ago, and I think the chamber's doing a lot where the town and the chamber can, start maybe working together to give, like with economic development, we talked about roles for the chamber and roles for economic development. They seem to be very open to that. So I think there's a lot of good things coming down the pike. There's a lot of new energy there. We also a couple of us went to a Morris County Economic Development Corporation meeting, and I think I had Carol just pass out the presentation. I'll try to give more of an update regarding that, and we haven't had our economic development meeting in town yet, but we're going to come together and kind of brainstorm about next steps. But it was a very informative meeting.
That was a great presentation.
It was a great, Denville, they had worked with Denville and in putting together a bid, and there was a lot of information that came out of that.
Morristown as well.
Huh?
Morristown did a bid as well.
Yeah. So if you got to see that presentation, there was a lot of good stuff that came out of that. So I want to start tapping more into utilizing the county resources. They're actually going to, unless somebody pushes, they're going alphabetically by town to up, we're all the way down in P, and they'll actually do a whole study for the town and stuff like that. But if you push and you're further along, I think we could get moved up. So more to come on that. Our economic development meeting is Wednesday, February 28th at 7:30. I'm hoping to have a presentation here. I'll work with Carol on possibly having another presentation from economic development.
Well, not on the same time,
Right.
not March 13th.
No, I know.
It had to be later on in March.
And also with, I want to try to see what we can do as a town to get behind that tax reward program as well. I think I've looked at the reports and the statistics, and I think the program's running well. I just think that we need to get more people utilizing the cards and more businesses on board. We went to a great grand opening the other day. We just need to get the town kind of behind it, exposing it, and then maybe getting the chamber to run with it. So I don't know if we can talk about that in budgets. I sent you some stuff. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Some of those things are more policy than budget.
Right. So we can say, but anyway, so that was it. What else? Unico is hosting a Taste of the Town on Tuesday, March 6th at Best Western. I don't know, I think there's tickets still available if anybody wants to go to that. And
We have a budget meeting that night.
Oh yeah, there is a budget meeting that night. And the other thing that came up at the chamber meeting, as we heard, we all know that Chilton Hospital is working with the schools on with the students on the work-study program and internships and whatnot. Well, the FBLA is working with local businesses. They had a nice presentation at the chamber, and I thought that was a great thing, where they're actually, through FBLA, they're going out to the businesses and making opportunities for students in the local businesses, which I thought was great, whether it's teaching somebody auto mechanic or restaurant hire or whatever. So I thought that was great. What else? And I don't know, I just wanted to bring this up. I wondered if it was time to have discussions in a not so far future before you leave on possible...
What can you do?
I'd like to...
She wants you to go out with a bang.
I'd like to bring up the topic again of LED signs.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is schools...
Why is everybody looking at you?
No, but like, looking at schools,
I'm the renegade
whether it's
here, I know
schools or
that.
churches or people that already have the existing manual signs, why we can't, look to maybe upgrade those signs. That's all.
Pequannock Township can get an LED sign.
Yeah, why not? No, but
We can have one if we
Now,
want.
that's something before I leave.
Is that a discussion that perhaps we want to bring up and not so?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss that again. So.
I'm under the impression the church will allow it for us.
Yeah, there was a time that they wouldn't allow it. I think they would allow it now.
Okay.
We know Sister Marie would love to have a sign.
Yes, she would.
And I think it's time.
Let's take a look at it.
So I'd like to take a look at it.
It can be tastefully done. If we do anything, it has to meet certain requirements to keep the
Well, would we be changing the sign ordinance then? Do we want to change
Yes.
it?
There's a nice sign on Sunset that I can see from my house.
Yeah, that doesn't say anything, really.
Dave has some nice pictures on his phone.
I do have some other digital.
Yeah, but but it's something I'd like to bring up. I know Dave.
Well, I think if you're going to bring it up, you really should bring some recommendations of some ordinances from some other towns on what they do, because there's good ones out there.
Right.
If we just start talking about do you want or not, you got to bring something concrete forward.
Right, I want to look at something, understand it.
Yeah, just not
very
talk about
carefully.
it.
My concern has always been you change the characteristic of the town, the character of the town, that's all.
But you would have to
be driving down and seeing neon lights all over.
Dave, where'd you take those pictures?
Whatever.
You'd like to have a discussion on LED signs around the ordinance that we currently have, or around what the appropriate locations or uses are where they're permitted, because I think it was the planning board that actually kind of...
What did you say, Brian?
We'll never finish.
I think it was the planning board that kind of identified certain locations and said, okay...
Right. I'd like to look at the ordinance and come up with more locations.
And then we can send it down to the planning board where I can stomp my feet and say no, and we'll send it back.
But I believe, wasn't that went down to the planning board with our recommendation?
No.
They said...
We asked the planning board for their recommendation.
Right.
It's not, we can talk about it.
If we send the recommendation down to the planning board, that the council would...
And so we currently, what we're operating under is what the planning board responded with in terms of, the locations they picked, which are all, public property locations. So if there's an intent to expand that, I think we should have... Please bring an idea of what you want that to include.
Right.
Are we talking, public and nonprofit and business? What's the scope? So that we can kind of...
And if you want to be all-inclusive, like he just said, you got to come with some samples of how it would be.
We have a few.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few pictures. We do not have a few ordinances.
Yeah, we need words, we need everything. You need to, someone who's doing it well. I'm sure there's somebody doing it
The
well.
high school could have did a much better job with their sign.
Their sign says nothing. I go by it every
I
day.
don't care what it says, but I'm just saying...
I do, it's $30,000.
I gotta wear my sunglasses.
I don't want to do the same thing they did.
Would you guys feel like that should come from a task force from economic development first?
No.
Or where do you want it to come from?
No.
Ideas amongst ourselves?
Why don't you bring some stuff here and we'll discuss it. I'm not looking for recommendations from people who want the signs desperately.
Exactly.
And really, even if we just start with people that have signs. So,
I mean, there's a certain character to this town, and I keep going back to this, that we want to try to maintain. Other characters in this town, yes, I know that.
Are you done?
In this town.
Melissa, anything else?
I'll circulate some ideas, and we'll start with the council.
Okay.
Let's see what else.
Melissa, is the 30 minutes up?
It's up.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. I think that's it.
Okay. Councilman Hurd.
Oh, what?
You said that's it.
My time to Melissa?
No. I'm sorry.
No, you may not.
What else do you have, Melissa?
I did have one more. I wanted to update on the elevation project. how we're doing so far with
Progress.
There you go.
Things are meeting.
Jen is meeting individually with all the homeowners, both the ones who have indicated that they want to proceed, and she's attempting to contact the ones that we have not heard from. So
that's good.
she's actively working on that, and she's actually got a whole bunch of things going on. She's been moving quite quickly on her process. So.
Okay. And I did think of a last thing. I did talk to everyone on council about the Pequannock Monopoly game board that HSA is putting together. And when I first brought it up, we were talking about having the township sponsor. They approached us and said, it's a township game, so would the township contribute, like, say, $400 for that box top, and we get to pick the landmarks and what we want on the box. After talking amongst some of the council members, we thought maybe we should just individually do it as council members, similar to what we did as the banner. Is that what we
Not
decided?
individually, do it as a group.
As a group, but
As a group.
do it all.
Take the 400 divided by...
But there's a deadline coming up.
It is.
Yeah, it's approaching.
So...
I'm going to say only if we sponsor the Get Out of Jail corner.
Oh, I like that.
I'll do that.
We're
I don't know if we'll get
sponsoring the cover.
We're sponsoring the cover. If you'd like, I could send pictures around, which I
outside
have
cover.
forwarded to Dave. I just want to make sure...
You mean just at the box? We're not going to get a block?
I'm good with it. You want me to write you the check, $400, or get the money from you guys?
You can write me the check.
Not you. You're the crook.
All right, I just want to make sure everybody's okay.
You handle it, Melissa, we'll do it.
Tom will do it.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
tell
do
him,
it.
I already
do it.
told him we'd do it. So
Oh, she already said yes, so we're good.
If you need the money, see me, I'll get it from
we
you.
just have to decide what we want on the...
Okay, Councilman Hurd.
Can I...
Yes, please.
Melissa, can I go?
You sure can.
All right. Let's see. Teen Advisory Committee. We had our first meeting. It was great. Stacy and Judy are on it. They are very excited, and I'm excited. So we're going to do incredible things. Flood Committee. Jennifer McCulloch. Am I saying her last name right? She is awesome. I'm so happy that we got her. We're working on funding. That's the biggest access to capital. So any way that we can figure out some way of getting more access to capital and make it a little bit easier for the homeowners, as well as once we get past that, issue, then we can get more engagement by the community and get more houses elevated. So everything in due time. Open space, we spoke about the Riverwalk, which is going through, as well as the bike trail. I'm so excited. As you know, I think we'll be running down it in the spring of, 19th? 19, I think it was, yeah.
Well, construction,
Well, they're going to start the 9th.
They're going to start down in...
you probably want to wait to run on until
I'm going to be running around those backhoes, man. I'm telling you. Let's see, Grains of Hope. So just to give you a little note, it's going to be Sunday, March 18th. I need some help filling 1,200 slots. So we need about 1,200 total slots that we're going to fill. That's throughout the day. The website that you're going to go to is GOH2018.
Well, can you email us that?
I can. I want to tell everybody on TV land.
But you can help the day before, too, right?
Yes. GOH2018.evanbright.com. So we have about
Simple
12...
email address.
Well, it's Evanbright, 1,200 slots. We're going for 175,000 meals in total this year. So we're going to beat last year.
email me that, and I'll put it on the website.
I will email you that later on. Last but not least, Municipal Alliance Committee. We spoke about a lot of things, obviously drugs, with our new governor, making marijuana, Mary Jane, weed, whatever you want to call it, legal.
429.
Here's some information I got. Please take one and pass it down. Great way of talking to...
It's not legal yet.
...kids and whatnot. Two different ones. One for adults, one for talking to kids. I think we need to start thinking about having a conversation on town council about what are we going to do. That's mine. Thank you. What are we going to do? How is it going to affect us? Are we going to sell stuff here, edibles? There's a whole bunch of conversations we need to start considering and having, so we need to get that on that.
You heard me tell the story when I was in California last week. We were on the beach, and they were selling it on the beach with pizza.
Well, there you go. Entrepreneurism at its finest.
Wow.
I hope that part of that conversation recognizes the difference between medical uses
absolutely.
and recreational, and
What's the big difference?
Medical has its own issues. Recreation,
it may have issues, but it may also help in the area of the opiate epidemic.
Absolutely.
If there were more research going on, and into alternate pain medications,
Well, the question is, I think, what the biggest concern is not on the medical side. I think, listen, if somebody has cancer, if somebody has something else, if they can take this, and it's the way that I'm understanding it is that they're not going to be smoking a joint per se. They're going to be utilizing the cannabis or the THC part of it. If that in any way, shape, or form can help somebody with cancer, by all means. I have no issue with that. I think what we have to talk about is on the edible side. So how is that going to be dealt with? Are you going to be able to go down a Quick Check if it was legalized? Is it going to be in liquor stores? So, it's something that I think we need to get ahead of and start having that conversation and see where it leads us.
Okay, I think my personal opinion is that the town either passes a resolution that says absolutely you cannot sell it in this town. I think that's what other towns have done.
But we still, remember, if it is legalized, we can elect not to sell it, and that makes sense, but that doesn't mean people won't be walking down the boulevard smoking a joint.
No, I
So
concur
there is
100%.
still, we have to make sure we understand that as well.
Concur 100%, especially after what I saw in California.
I'm sure you saw a lot.
I get phone at 4:29.
Anything else, Ryan?
That is all I have.
That's all you have?
Thank you.
Councilman Cole?
All right, I'll be brief. As you know, January 24th, Fair Housing met. Wasn't really that much of a meeting. Parks and Rec met on February 5th. They talked about the polar plunge, how successful it was. Last night, I missed the first aid squad meeting because I was at the Morris County Clerk re-election kickoff meeting. But Tom Lyons provided me with some info, 71 calls for January, 16 of which were to Cedar Crest. They, of course, were at the Polar Plunge on January 21st. They also talked at the meeting last night about the second demonstration that was out in front of Town Hall, and this is the second time that they were required to relocate the first aid squad vehicles to accommodate for the demonstration, and they were wondering in the future, because they believe that there probably will be more in the future, if there is somewhere else that they can hold those events so it doesn't interrupt with the first aid squad service that comes out of the back of this building. And then this Sunday, they responded to an accident on Route 23 where they needed 2 ambulances, and they also had a call 10 minutes later for Cedar Crest, and they were able to provide an ambulance and a crew up to Cedar Crest. So, we all know that the first aid squad does great things, and they have great people down there volunteering, and I think we all know, we all recognize that, and we let them know that they do great things. So, and Tom also said that he appreciates the working relationship that he has with the council and the town manager. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Phelan?
The only thing I have is that the planning board met last Monday, I guess it was, and it was last Monday. Stefano's is going to get a new facade in the front. It's actually going to look like a 2-story building, Italian building, or however you want to refer to it. But it's just a facade. It is not an actual building. And
It's going to look nice.
It will actually improve the way it looks coming down 23. It's tastefully done, and I talked to the owner, I guess it was Saturday, we went there for dinner, and I asked him, when are you going to do it? He said right away, so don't be surprised if you see that happen relatively quick. That's it.
Okay. All I have is, our Historic Commission committee meeting was canceled because of the snow last week. The Environmental Commission, they're going to change their meeting from tomorrow to the 21st. Did they tell you that, Carol, to change the calendar?
I don't think so. We'll change.
Yeah, they changed it to the 21st because of Valentine's Day.
Oh, maybe you did.
Well, maybe the calendar didn't get changed, but they are changing it. I'm signed up to Read Across America on March 2nd, if any of you want to. I know I forwarded you the email. I'm not quite sure how we handle it when we kick off the Citizen of the Year, but I know there's been people talking about it. Carol, do we send out something, or does what office kicks that off?
Well, that's probably me.
Right, so maybe it's about time.
In the past, it's been back and forth.
It's that super secret society.
I know. Well, I just wanted to mention it because people have been
Didn't we
mentioning
come up
it.
with a guideline?
I have a letter right in a
Last year,
guideline,
we came up with a
and
new guideline, because we went on it.
It was-
Me and Dave were on it.
we were going to move it to the council, and then instead, we had a council member participate in the committee, which I think worked out well. Is that?
Yes.
I think it worked
Yeah.
out fine.
Yeah.
Dave and I were on it.
But I don't know how we kick it off, or who kicks that off.
Well, I
or-
think the person that kicked it off last year was probably from the Legion.
From Lou. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the super secret society.
I know.
Didn't he bring you the list of the people that...
I was just going through my desk, and I have a sort of a tickle file. This happens in January, February, March, April, and it was not something I needed to deal with immediately.
Okay.
But I will let you know when it
Yeah, because we have to have it ready and done before the Memorial Day parade.
In the past,
And we
it was
always get real
done
close.
late. Yeah.
So rather than being really close.
I am fully confident that Carol will be able to take care of it.
Well, that's why I brought it up. And then the last thing is, I'm new to the planning board, but maybe, Rich, you can help me fill in if I miss anything, but we had an in-depth discussion about digital applications, and they said that we should ask you, Bob, about if we have to do that via ordinance or something, to say that it requires, we could ask for, but they said if we wanted to require it, we would have to change something, and that the council would have to do that?
Yeah, the discussion was about making everybody who submits something to the town to submit it also in a digital form, so that the digital form can be sent to all the planning board members. Prior, what happens now is we get this packet on the Friday
Yeah, with
before.
things that are this big.
Paperwork is humongous, and, and I think Linda said that, or Linda or the attorney, I forget, said that we would have to change something in our ordinance.
Yeah, I guess because the ordinance talks about the number of copies.
Right.
That's within the land use ordinance. I suppose that's why. We would only apply it to the board. If the board wants to do it, I don't know why.
Well, I think we were of the agreement that we wanted
The board
to.
was almost in complete agreement. I probably disagree, knowing me, but...
No, I don't think you did. I think you were so cold, you didn't care at that
I was so
point.
cold, I was freezing to death, I was like...
Does work.
Yeah, right.
Right,
It's a pretty minor
everybody's-
amendment. so
Right,
we can-
everybody's in agreement.
Yeah.
I think it makes a whole lot of sense to have it submitted to the members of the planning board ahead of time
Right.
in a digital form, so that you can't get the complete understanding of it, but you get a real good feel for what they're trying.
And also for ease of sending it to like the flood committee and to the environmental, because they're not getting it till too late to respond, and then it's in their mailbox, they don't know it's in their mailbox, so an email could simply push it
So
out.
right now, it probably says, you're to file an original in 12 copies.
Something like that.
Would the amount of original copies change, or would we still want to do that?
No, we would also, and
We'd want
most
both.
people...
Just an addition of the...
Right, most people
Yeah.
would have it on a CAD form anyway, they just have to
Right.
convert it to digital.
Was it the attorney that suggested that it be brought back here for action?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think it was the
Maybe
attorney and,
you contact
I'll follow
Rich
up.
and-
okay.
Yeah, I think I understand why. I think we probably have something now in the
Okay.
code that deals very specific with
Right, it
number of
says you need
copies.
to get...
So I can
Right.
see where...
copies by...
But as they said, we could ask for a courtesy copy, but we couldn't require it, and I think to make it required, they said we had to do this.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to bring
We're
that
okay
up.
with just putting an ordinance forward if that's...
Yeah, just amending our,
I'll talk to Rich.
Asking
I'll talk to
Kelly,
Rich and get
we
it.
want a digital copy.
Yep.
yeah. All right, thank you, that's all I have. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Rocco?
Rocco Soluccia, 153 Jacksonville Road. Just as far as Jacksonville Road is concerned, I believe that somebody should call the county. They have holes in there like you can't believe. not just little small ones. We're talking about something like maybe 8 or 10 inches.
Craters?
And we're talking about not a little small like this here, but a strip that if you don't miss it over there, somebody's going to end up having an accident over there, so it would be kind of nice.
There's like two or three sections.
They're aware.
On the other item that I have, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, if it's dead already, you can't resuscitate him. But the thing I was going to say is this here, we give instruction to the person on the fair housing to make sure that the Glenn's got a copy of the, I guess, the minutes that we have in there. I don't think they ever got it. I could put some money on that too, but just to get you back over there, because what's going to happen is if we don't get the service that we're supposed to, I'm going to ask somebody to come in with the telephone or something, record the conversation, and make sure that the person does a job according to what it's supposed to. Just make sure that you're aware of it, okay? If somebody writes on a contract that that's what it's going to do, people could talk until they're dead, but if they don't do what they're supposed to over there, you're going to hear from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocco. Kyle?
Kyle Russell, 6 Walnut Ave. What's going on with the heat? I thought we were going to fix it.
It's our way of making the meetings a little bit sweatless or whatever.
Really? Exactly.
No, they're fixing it. If you turn around, they put the black plastic, that's to keep the cold air from blowing in now.
Okay.
Tomorrow, they're supposed to fix it, I believe.
They start tomorrow, yes.
They've removed a lot of the old, right?
They have, and demolition upstairs starts tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Will it be
So
done
the
by the next
sweatshirt
meeting?
we'll be done
was
by
a
the
good
next meeting.
idea.
Will it be done by the next meeting?
I'm not making that promise.
Okay, anyone else? Nope, okay. Next on the agenda is minutes for approval. Now, there's 2 of them where people were missing.
Yeah.
So,
Abstain.
yeah, 11:28,
I got it.
Ryan was missing, and on 12:26, Rich was missing. So you can't vote on those. So we can do 12:12 and 1-2 together.
12, and 1-2, okay.
12.
So do I have a motion for 12:12 and 1-2?
I'll make a motion to approve December 12th and January 2nd meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so for 11:28, Ryan, you have to
I
abstain?
abstain.
Okay, so I have
I'll make a motion to approve
Go
the
ahead.
minutes from November 28th and December 26th.
I'll second.
Well, I can't approve December 26th.
no.
Right.
So you really
Just
just
got to do
do,
the 28th.
You got
just do the
to
28th, and Ryan will abstain. So we have that. All right.
I'm fine if you want to just say that you're approving both of them, and then people can abstain on the one.
Okay, so, all right, so Dave, you said 11:28 and 12:26?
Correct.
And who seconded that, Melissa?
Melissa.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Except Ryan abstained.
And I.
Aye for me too.
Fair enough.
Okay, good.
Got that?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
Gas.
Okay, next on the agenda, closed session. We have closed session? Okay.
Boys are in the-
Have a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion.
Aye, Ryan.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Be right back.